force is strong in my family. My father has it. I have it. You have that power too.
And welcome everybody. 1-800-866-8883 is the number here. I got a treat for you tonight. A really, really amazing show. Call your friends and tell them. You got to listen to David on the show tonight. If you want to, you can go and stream the show at kdwn.com. That's out of Las Vegas. Tonight, I'm going to do something I've wanted to do for many years. I'm going to, with the help of, let's say, the media, I'm going to talk about mind control, but in a way that you will never expect. Because I never, in my lifetime, expected to turn on the TV one night and see a program that literally explains to us how they are manipulating us. The way they did it, it was kind of like, well, now that we have you where we want you, now that we know exactly how to make you do or stop you from doing the things that we want or don't want, we're going to tell you about it. We're going to tell you how we do it, and we're not going to tell you the whys and the wherefores, but we're going to tell you the hows. And we're even going to make it sort of educational so that maybe you can, maybe one day, catch yourself being manipulated so that you can actually make decisions for yourself. I know that's really a mind-blowing thought, especially for many politicians. Politicians really would love to have us surrender our free will. Well, but see, they don't need us to do that because we've already done it. This is the frightening part. Let me tell you, I am a science fiction movie fanatic. My favorite movie so far is The Matrix, the original Matrix movie. In The Matrix movie, if you haven't seen it yet, you must. But you may not even be able to interpret it the way I did, because what I saw was that The Matrix is exactly like our thought processes. That everybody that's caught up in their head is caught up in a thought matrix. And in that thought matrix, you are the effect of a cause. And you don't know it. And so you are manipulated and controlled from the moment you come into the world until the moment you leave. I've been saying this for years. I started talking about The Matrix when the movie came out. 1999 is how long I've been thinking about this movie. I've been cogitating the meaning of The Matrix. And I have been doing my own research. Now, science fiction, well, I would say that there's a very fine line between science fact and science fiction anymore. When I was a kid, I used to read the Dick Tracy comics, and they had the wristwatch communicators. Well, I guess you can get one in a watch if you want to, but we all have our own personal communicators now. The science fiction becomes science fact. It's at a certain point. But when it comes to the plot in the movie The Manchurian Candidate, what we're about to hear sends a chill down my spine, even though it's done in a very lighthearted way. It is a new National Geographic show. I think it's been on before, but this is a new version of it called Brain Games. But they tell you, they absolutely tell you what they are doing. As if to say, maybe somebody is saying, wake up. Wake up and see what's been happening to you for decades, many decades. Now, not only are they telling you, but they also have the Russian scientists talking to you in this kind of accent, because they have been experimenting with people for a very long time. And the mind, of course. So you're going to hear the Russian experts, and you're going to hear the American experts, and you're going to hear the marketing experts, because marketing and manipulation, it's all the same thing. This kind of sets the stage. They try to explain to you what it is that they're doing. beginning now.
Are people thinking rationally normally? Well, I think a lot of work that's out there and a lot of what you'll see on the show is actually that there are all these kinds of subtle influences that dictate changes in what we think about, the kind of judgments we make, the kind of decisions we make, that are all happening unconsciously. So they're not really that rational. In fact, a lot of the reasons that people make decisions have nothing to do with rationality in their day-to-day lives. Marketing can basically use a lot of those environmental influences or interpersonal influences that are very subtle often and hitting the unconscious to sort of shape how people are thinking, certainly outside of what might be considered rational. Marketing traditionally has been mostly about information, mostly about telling consumers about sales or about deals. Sensory marketing is really a more holistic approach to marketing. It takes into account how people process information, not just in their brains, but in their bodies. Whatever sort of external cues that are out there in the world are cueing you in some way. They're priming you in some way. They're causing you to call up at a very unconscious, low-level information. And that information, once it hits working memory, it can now influence everything you see in the world. The more conscious you become of these techniques, the more your brain can basically say, no, I'm going to stop that from happening. Becoming aware, becoming conscious of how these techniques work, learning about them, can allow you to say, no, I'm not going to allow this to influence me.
Did you hear that interesting calypso music they were playing behind him? And all those, that wasn't karate chops. That was little messages that were popping up all around this guy while he was talking. Did you hear what he said? Every day. This is from an article I wrote about 10 years ago. In thousands of imperceptible ways, without realizing it, we are subject to what is known as the availability principle, a factor which systematically renders your mind and emotions vulnerable to external influence and subtle control. By making use of what is known as priming, many communicators in various forms of communication can influence your attitude as well as your overt behavior without you ever knowing it. No, you never know it. You think that everything is your own idea. Goes on to say, researchers and social scientists understand that once a person's attitude is accessible, think about that word, accessible, to suggestion, sound a little bit like hypnosis? In that moment, your attitude can be used as a guide to some form of action. Anyone that wants to guide your actions and attitudes intentionally or unconsciously uses subtle influences to form and direct your behavior. Priming, they get it. They probably got it from the Russians who, when Pavlov was working on his experiments with animals, figured out sensory manipulations. But it goes deeper, because now we have all the kind of specialized equipment we need to monitor every reaction of the brain. And they figure out how to set off reactions and subreactions and domino effect reactions. I'm sorry to tell you, but I'm glad that I can, that most of the decisions that you make in your life are not your own. They've been guided by some external influence. All you have to do is look at popular culture, and you see how people are fixated to the celebrity du jour. That's of the day, for those of you who don't speak French, as I don't. Celebrity du jour, or the threat du jour, or the fear-mongering du jour, global warming, the oceans will rise, we don't have enough money, the housing bubble, hyperinflation. Every day, all of these things are filtering down into your mind, into your subconscious mind. Now, I should have pulled one on fear, because fear is a very powerful subconscious manipulator. But maybe I'll do that on the next show, because this one really is about priming. And they explain to you, as they go through this half-hour show, it's brilliant, on National Geographic. It's called Brain Games. And I've just clipped it up into little 1-minute clips so you can hear what they're saying. But notice that even when they're telling you, they're still trying to distract you from the absolute truth of it all. by playing all this funky music and making these little those kind of noises. Because they want it to be a soft landing. You see, they don't want a hard landing on this thing. Because they're showing you what they're doing. They want a soft landing. They want you to sort of sit back and go, wow, isn't that amazing? Well, look at that, man. Look at that. They're manipulating us, man. That's what they want you to feel. They don't want any reaction. But I'm going to try to help you to see. This is what my dad has been telling people for 50 or 60 years now, at least. That you are not living your own life, that you're not living an authentic life, that if you're not in control of yourself, someone or something else will be. Now you think about that. And we're going to go to clip 1 of Brain Games. Let's listen to that.
Persuasion is one of the most powerful tools your brain uses to get what you want. But it's also a tool used by advertisers, marketers, and politicians every day to persuade you to do what they want.
Let's go. There's a method to all this madness. For the next half hour, we're going to show you the science behind the power of persuasion. Your brain makes literally thousands of decisions per minute, many beneath your conscious thought. Now, persuasion through marketing and media is a $500 billion a year industry. Scientists and marketers know that if they can tap into your unconscious channels, they have a much better chance of selling you their product.
I'm not going to take that call.
In a sense, they're marketing to your brain.
Well, see, they're not marketing to you. They're marketing to your brain. Because they know that piece of meat that weighs about, what, 3 pounds, if you're lucky, that contains all of that, your data storage, your hard drive, your memory, they know how to poke and prod it to do what they want. And notice how they say in the beginning of the clip that, persuasion is how you get what you want. No, I don't use persuasion at all. Absolutely. Do you? Do you use persuasion to get what you want? Or do you just say, waiter, bring me a salad? Or you say to your husband or wife, well, let's go to a movie. Do you have to persuade people? I mean, really, think about the word persuasion. Did you hear the number? 500 billion? Nah, that's low. They're lowballing you. 500 billion. I don't know how much money there is circulating around in the world, but I would say it's probably about 80 to 90%, because the rest of it is just basic needs. People have basic needs. They'll get the stuff they need. Now, the question is, who are they going to get it from? And that's where the marketing and the manipulators, the mind benders, come in, because they know how to push your buttons. And they don't mind telling you about it anymore. See, they think that you're okay with it. Maybe you are. How many years have I told you on this show? Because I'm in the advertising business. I know what people do to manipulate you. And I've warned you. But they've also manipulated you to vote for the people that you vote for. Because, see, that's a marketing platform, too. Oh, yes. All of the things that you do, those ideas are very stealthily, sneakily put in your mind. And some people just don't care, honestly. You probably know some of those people that don't care. They feel like they're disaffected. I'm not interested in anybody. Who cares? I get my welfare check. I have a job. Leave me alone. I have enough to think about. Those people are fine, though, with the mind manipulators, the persuaders. Because those people don't matter. They're in the margins. See, if they're not interested, leave them alone. Because they'll fall between the cracks. And they'll get absorbed by the sweeping popular culture somewhere. So you really don't need to directly influence everybody. No, as a matter of fact, you really only have to directly influence a few people. You're never going to get an education like this on the power of persuasion, the mind manipulators, because they've laid it out for you. You can go up to nationalgeographic.com and check out their show. Yeah, they got a lot of neat little tricks that they show you about how the brain works. But I understand the mind, the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the soul. They don't talk about souls in these programs. They talk about brains. But unless you're room temperature, you have a soul connected to that brain. So you need to pay attention. Now let's start with another clip here, clip 2. You got that ready, Ralph? Play that for me.
Remember when we asked you to count ducks? Let's try this one again, only this time you're counting rabbits. Ready? Go. Did you count all 10 rabbits this time? Or did you still see ducks? In fact, each animal could be seen as either one. We just used one of the simplest persuasion techniques around. Here to explain is MIT persuasion specialist Josh Ackerman.
We were able to get you to see what we wanted you to see through a phenomenon called priming. Think of primes as subtle cues that influence your attitudes, your responses, often without you even noticing.
Priming is a way to bypass your brain's conscious decision-making process to work directly on your subconscious.
In other words, we say duck, you see duck.
See, so they will just put these suggestions because they know that they can do it. Now, they asked you to count ducks. Well, they had another show where they showed the ducks, and then they turned it at a 45-degree angle, and it looked like a bunny. So what they're trying to show you is that perception and reality are very, very closely associated. See, and with just a little bit of a nudge, you can be made to see what they want you to see. Now, people like me, I saw both of them immediately. And I hadn't seen the one about ducks before. I said, well, it could be a duck, it could be a rabbit. But see, I'm not the typical thinker. I'm not a typical person. I'm aware. I'm awake. See, I'm a very sophisticated consumer of information. Not like the average person. I actually consider what I'm looking at and whether or not it's of interest to me. And if something doesn't resonate with me, I have no use for it. So I quickly channel surf to find things on Discovery or National Geographic. I like the programs that they put out because they're informational. Helps me to build a better understanding about the world I'm living in. And also, they just flat out tell you, just like they're doing in this show, that they're messing with your mind. You okay with that? Okay, it doesn't affect me because I know that there are embedded suggestions or prompts or persuasions built in. Some people call it agenda, but really what it is, it's hypnosis. And what is hypnosis? Well, I'll give you the simplest answer, and it is this, that most of us have already surrendered our wills to other people, to our culture, to fear, to anxiety, to reward or punishment. You've surrendered your will at some level. And so, in that sense, whoever or whatever you've surrendered your will to has a hypnotic effect on you, and it controls you. And the only way that you can break out of that hypnotic state is to become aware that you are not thinking and that you're not living your own life. And when that happens, people start to want to get out of the matrix. They want to wake up and start living in the real world. And it can be a very, very difficult thing to do. I'm talking about mind control. But in a way you would never expect. Because the way that it's sounding is like it's fun. Controlling people's minds is fun and easy, especially when you know how. And what I'm doing is I'm playing clips from a new National Geographic show called Brain Games. I'm just helping you to see. I mean, it's so shocking because it's so self-evident that they use the word persuasion, but really it's mind control and or hypnosis. So let's continue. Let's play the next clip, Ralph.
Take a look at this image. Let's prime you one more time. Do you see the man's face in the mask? If you still don't see it, here it is. Okay, let's take another look. This is the exact same image as before, but this time, do you see the kissing couple? If you do, we just successfully primed you. By telling you that there are two kissing faces here, we made your brain see this instead of the single face. First, we told you to look for a face, and you saw a face. Then we told you about the kissing couple, and one face became two. That's priming.
Priming. They tell you what to see, and you see it. Does that sound like hypnosis? Okay, now, not everybody is primed. I mean, it doesn't work on everybody, but it works on about 80%, in my estimation. Let me give you a little insight here. Priming researchers define how attitude shapes our behavior. This is an article I wrote, and I researched. By attitude, we understand a process of individual consciousness which determines real or possible activity in the individual in the social world. Researcher Gordon Allport pinpoints the key to human action. Without guiding attitudes, the individual is confused and baffled. Some kind of preparation is essential before he or she can make a satisfactory observation, pass suitable judgment, or make any but the most primitive reflex type of response. Attitudes determine for each individual what he will see and hear, what he will think, and what he will do. Let me read this again. Attitudes determine for each individual what he will see and hear, what he will think, and what he will do. They control your attitudes. Someone is controlling your attitudes. They know how to control your attitudes. Play the next clip for me, will you please?
Priming is such a powerful, persuasive tool because your brain is always looking for shortcuts.
Deciding quickly means your brain can conserve energy for important things like looking out for the next decision to make.
Here's how these shortcuts work on your brain. This region, called your prefrontal cortex, is responsible for much of your conscious thinking. Priming reduces activity in this area and instead targets the regions of your brain that are responsible for your subconscious decision-making. And suddenly, you're being herded by someone else's idea.
You're being herded like a bunch of sheep, or cows in that case. See what they're doing? They're showing you. Again, they're taking the edge off it. They want a soft landing here. They don't want anybody having a hard landing with this. They want to get you to think that it's just part of everyday life. That somebody else is telling you, many people are telling you how to live and what you're going to think and what you're going to do. And they're determining these attitudes for you by priming you. Let me read something. It says, a perfect example of the power of priming is described in this article from the Scotsman out of the UK. Dieters can be deterred from eating fatty foods like ice cream by being tricked into believing that they were sick after eating ice cream as a child. Scientists have discovered a leading expert in false memories was able to convince up to 40% of people that they had been ill after eating strawberry ice cream when they were younger. Now you think about that. You think about the state of mind of a person who could be, I don't know, convinced? It doesn't seem like you could be convinced of something, but can you be? Well, yes. Well, yes, you can be. It says the volunteers then started to avoid eating that flavor of ice cream. And then a professor who led the study said, while we know food preferences developed in childhood continue into adulthood, this work suggests that the mere belief one had a negative experience could influence food choices as an adult. Hello? Hello? The idea, the very idea that you could be convinced that you had a bad experience with something would change the way you behave. Let's play the next clip. This is too good.
So how much control do you have over your decisions? In this next experiment, deception specialist Apollo Robbins has put that question to the test.
Let's play a game. In one of these boxes, we've hidden Jason Silva, the host of Brain Games. And your job is to find it.
Do you remember which box you picked? There are only 2 left, and I'm in one of them.
But we have to eliminate one more. And I think that's going to be this one. Jason, you in there?
Yes.
Good job.
Tell me again why I signed up for this.
Awesome job.
Oh my God, that was terrifying.
It's all right.
did a good job.
No, it wasn't me. It was them. They made all the choices.
Thank you.
But I had a feeling you'd make the right ones.
Amazing, right? So how did you choose the box I was in? Turns out it was just the illusion of choice.
Paulo used a mathematical formula, so no matter which number you picked, you always landed exactly where he wanted, even though you thought you were in the driver's seat.
Orson Welles do this. When I was a kid, he would pick numbers, and then he would somehow always get the person in the audience to give him the number he wanted. And I thought that was fascinating. I remember this was when I was just very young. So, you know, the illusionists and the magicians and the tricksters, but see, they don't really give you any choices. They had 13 boxes, and they put him in one, and then the guy just kept pointing to the ones that he wanted these guys with big hammers to smash. To me, it was confusing. I wasn't being given any choices about which. I picked a box, and it wasn't any of the boxes that he picked. I picked my own box. I was wrong about which one he was in, but it doesn't matter. I picked my own box. See, you have to be willing to be persuaded. You have to be willing to be guided in that way. You have to be willing. Now, if you're not willing, then whatever they try to do doesn't work on you. But unfortunately, there's a herd instinct in all of us. It's why we live lives that are not fulfilling. It's why we only go part of the way and never reach our full potential, because we are held back by the mind manipulators, by the primers. Oh, but they don't do it like intentionally. They don't pick you out to do it to you. It's done to everybody. It's like gravity. It's just there all around you. Thousands and thousands and millions of suggestions and directions and ideas and constant information overload and fear-mongering and reward and punishment. It's all there all the time. And it's very hard to sort through it. And that's why you give up. Because you don't trust yourself. You've learned how not to trust yourself, because most of the time you make bad decisions. So you start to look to experts. People that you can trust. Okay, we're going to get to that in this show. This is a great show. It's on National Geographic. I say everybody should watch it, because they're showing you. They're revealing their tricks to you, just like the magicians do. Now their tricks can be shown. They show you how they do it. It doesn't mean it's going to stop you from being affected by it. Nope. Here's the next clip.
Marketers use formulas and techniques like this to manipulate your brain's most basic biology, persuading you to make decisions about their product or message beneath your conscious awareness. These decisions happen so quickly, your brain often doesn't stop to ask, is that duck really a duck? Your mind isn't just taking shortcuts when it comes to advertising. It's constantly analyzing visual cues to help you make quick choices about where to eat, the best route to take home, and who to trust. And when it comes to trust, your brain takes a surprising amount of shortcuts, sometimes based only on what someone's wearing. It's called the expert fallacy, and we all fall victim to it every day.
And we all fall victim to it every day. Hey, everybody. Are you happy yet? Is your life... Are you really having a great time out there with all the stuff that you've been falling victim to? Are you happy with all of it? Because you're letting it happen. Just letting you know. Sorry about being the bearer of bad news, but it's because you let it happen. See, it doesn't work on me because I know better. And I try to get on the radio and tell people, hey, look at what they're doing to you. And other people have tried to do it too, but guess what? They get drowned out by all of the manipulators. Oh yeah, if you have a person speaking in one room and then you have a million other voices come in, can you hear that person? Let's go to another clip. I think we have time. One more clip here. Here we go.
Don't think you get manipulated that way? We're about to put the expert fallacy to the test. Comedian Jay Painter is posing as a reporter, complete with suit, microphone, and camera. We want to see if those cues are powerful enough to make folks believe some absurd news stories that he's made up. Think you wouldn't fall for it? Let's watch.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Jay Painter, National Geographic News Network. I was just wondering if I could ask you a quick question.
Absolutely. Sir, as I'm sure you heard this morning, Texas has announced that they are seceding from the United States.
Is that correct?
Yes. Can I just get your reaction on this?
I'm very disappointed.
Well, how about the bill that is saying that people have to limit the amount of children that they can have based on their income?
I mean, if they have a smaller income but they want to have more children, I feel like they should be allowed to.
Scientists in Sweden today announced the first human clone. What do you feel about the moral implications of this, sir?
I did not know that.
Excuse me. Are you aware of the bill making its way through Congress that will limit the number of children that people under a certain income may have?
Oh, wow.
Exactly. Well,
This is a real law.
Yes!
I cannot believe this!
No, it's a real law.
This is the whole point. This is the Hegelian dialectic that I'm talking about, mind control. It's not mysterious anymore. See, it's all really easy to understand suddenly. And they don't mind telling you. Those people who have figured you out, they don't mind. There's no secrets anymore. They don't need to keep the secrets. As a matter of fact, they're having fun with giving this information out freely. I found it 15 years ago. Because see, priming, it primes you in a negative way. It takes away your free will. The way that it's being done by the marketers and the mind manipulators is they implant suggestions, hypnotic suggestions, you might say, and they begin to guide you and influence you all the way through your life. They brand you like you're a piece of property or a cow. Moo. They put their brand on you. And so those of you who go out and you buy the brand name stuff, whatever it may be, is it uniquely and authentically your idea to go out and buy that particular brand of stuff? Or did you get influenced somewhere along the line? Because I'm telling you that you cannot help but have been influenced unless you were aware of the influence itself. Now, I give you a perfect example, a metaphor. The movie The Chronicles of Narnia. There's a very powerful scene with the White Witch. And that is, she's the one who controls Narnia. And one of the boys that comes through the wardrobe, kind of a selfish kid, I think his name was Edward. Selfish and self-absorbed and didn't really care about anybody but number one. So he's walking through the forest in the frozen land of Narnia, and here comes the Ice Queen on her sled with her dwarf henchman. And she sees this boy and she stops. And then she turns to the boy and she signals to him, "Come to me." And she says, "You're not from around here, are you?" "Well, no, I just stumbled into this place." "Come here, would you like some sweets?" "Here, let me make you some sweets." And she makes him some sweets out of the snow with her magic powers. "Come up here." And she puts her arm around him like she's his best friend. "Now, was that good?" "Oh, yes." "Would you like some more?" "Oh, yes." "I tell you what I'll do. You go get your brother and your two sisters and bring them to me, and I'll give you anything you want. Now go!" And she snaps at him. See? Because now she owns him. He gave in to her little treats. But now he's got to perform a task for her, and he starts to think it's his own idea. Because he can get anything he wants. All he has to do is bring his brothers and sisters to her. What's the harm in that? Right? Of course, she's the Ice Queen. You know, she's the enemy of the Lion. Lion of God. The Ice Queen. Don't get along. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a perfect example, though, of priming somebody to persuade them to do what whoever wants them to do. The Chronicles of Narnia, the first one. I didn't care for the other ones. The first one is good. Because it's got the powerful theme of resurrection of the lion. I'm not going to tell you about it if you haven't seen it. And the lion, it's beautiful. I mean, it makes you really want to cry because the story gets it. It's all about weakness and then finding the strength and then coming back to life. But see, you're not gonna have that experience. You're gonna go cradle to grave and not be making your own choices. You're not gonna be thinking your own thoughts. It's already a problem to begin with. Now you have millions of other thoughts being directed at you like a big shotgun effect. All these different manipulations and agendas and wills, and they all want something from you. Either want you to do or not do something. And you know it, you hear it, you feel it. You feel it. It's an invisible chain around your neck like a dog choke chain. And you know it's there. And you're in a relationship with somebody that's like that. Or maybe many people. Could be your whole family. And they've got that choke chain, and you feel it in your throat. You can feel your face tightening. You can feel your heart pounding. Because those people, they want or they don't want. And they make you fully aware of what they like and dislike and how they feel about you one way or another. But you see, if you're objective, then you're free from all of the blowback from that. Okay. It's okay. You can feel that way about me. That's fine. You don't have to fight them. You don't have to give in to them. You just go your own way. Be your own person. Do your own thing.